Hey guys, Desert Magic here, and a lot of people liked my last Bitcoin video, so they wanted me to make another one, and I thought, well, what's a good topic? What do people constantly ask me all the time? And, well, that's been really one theme lately, at least this week. Should I buy cryptocurrency and just sit on it as an investment, or should I mine cryptocurrency with some kind of mining rig? And I mean, they're really similar, but really different. Because I mean, with mining, it's like, okay, it's almost guaranteed profit. It's just you don't see the money until you pay off the initial cost of the hardware. And then with just buying it, you could sit on it, the price could double, and ta-da. And that's a lot easier because you don't have to manage some big hardware thing and build it and configure it and all that. Not that that's too terribly hard if you follow the right guides, which I don't know, I might upload one at some point. Sorry, my camera was out of batteries today. I built one today. Yeah, I know, great excuse. But anyway, let's take an RX 580 as an example here on the Coin Wars calculator. That's what I use all the time to make like every decision about a rig, so they're pretty legit. There's a couple factors in here that I don't like an automatic difficulty increase over time calculation or something, but whatever. So I went to the Ethereum mining calculator because AMD cards, you commonly do run like Ethereum mining with like Claymore Dual or whatever. You could run Equihash, they're pretty good at that too. You could run Kryptonite. I mean, there's all kinds of different mining things. I'm just using Ethereum because that's what I'm actually mining right now. Now, I used to use NiceHash, which would switch between the algorithms to the most profitable one automatically, and then you basically rent the time on it or mine with their pool, and either way, they pay you in Bitcoins. Oh, but I think we all know what happened to them lately, and I lost a lot of money there, so screw you, NiceHash. Hope you come back online, though, because I want to keep using you because I make more money. Yeah, I know, I'm just as terrible as everybody else in the community. So anyway, 22.30 mega hashes per second is what the average RX 580 uses. Guess why I picked it? Because there's 3 behind me and I could check the stats. Also, according to GPU-Z, they're pulling an average of about 175 watts, which is very nearly their thermal capacity. I think it's 185, so they're running pretty hot compared to NVIDIA one. And then the power cost, I mean, an average in the US is like 11. I think mine's closer to 12 in the area, so I put that. So 12 cents per kilowatt hour. You could fill in whatever yours are. Otherwise, if you don't know, just fill in like 11 or 12. That's probably about right, at least in the US. No idea what it is in like Europe and stuff. I heard it's higher. Then we got, the current difficulty and the current block reward. That's all automatic. Pool fees, I don't remember what my pool charges. I just put in 1%. It's between them and the exchanges and the bank wires. I'm probably paying 1% somewhere. So then we got the Ethereum to Bitcoin ratio and the Bitcoin to USD ratio. Why this isn't just the price of Ethereum, I don't know. I guess they only have a license for an API to read the Bitcoin price. I mean, that's almost definitely what it is. And the card costs $255 here. So, or $250. If you get free shipping on Newegg. I had to double check that one. Anyway, so if I hit calculate, we're going to get this result, which was already filled in. I know, ooh, big reveal. So it'll take to break even 126 days, which is, what is that? 4 months and 4 days or something close to that, something in that neighborhood. Here's how they got that number. You will make like straight up gross mining right now at the current price of Bitcoins, $75 a month, give or take. And the power cost will be 15, and that's not bad. I mean, 15 divided by 75 is only 20%. So to have a 20% loss to electricity is pretty good. I mean, back when, I was mining, it was somewhere between 50% and you're losing money. So, like, literally it would cost like $50 to run 2 5830s and you'd make 40. Like, that's how it was for like 2 months. And then I stopped mining. And then I sold 90 Bitcoins at the wrong time. Yay. So anyway, the pool fee is about 75 cents. I mean, they're basically negligible. And the profit is right around $60. So if you were to scale this up, you'd say, okay, well, I'm going to run 4 cards in a rig because like the average full ATX motherboard has 4 hookups. Then there you go, $240. Cool. Except, you got to buy the motherboard, you got to buy the CPU, you got to buy the RAM. There's ways around it. Like if you were to literally just go straight up, brand new motherboard, like one built for mining that can take like 8 cards or whatever, drop 150 on that. You got to drop about 45 to $50 on a 5th, 6th, 7th, or 8th gen, low end Celeron chip or whatever. And then one stick of DDR4, 4 gig, which is the smallest they make right now, is like $47. I mean, there's a flash shortage. It's it all adds up. And then you got to drop I mean, on 8 cards, you'd almost have to buy 2 power supplies at that point. In fact, I would recommend it, especially if they're 580s. So you're looking at 200 plus for the power supplies. So it's like all together, you're looking at like $400 for hardware that isn't the card. So if you want to just go a per card amount here, it's not $250. That's just the card. You got, $8 for the riser, we'll say, and then you got we'll just say you're building a 4 card rig because that's normal. If it's 250 and then divided 4 ways, I should have done this ahead. Now I got to open a calculator. 250 divided by 4, you got $62 additional. So plus 258. Okay, we got 320. So that's what per card it costs to build a rig. Well, check this out. It's 162 days. That added almost a month. That's still not bad because then for the entire rest of the year, you're going to make a lot of money. And it does scale up. Like with 4 cards, it's the same because you get 4 times the speed, 4 times the cost. It's still 162 days. So if you were to drop $1,000 on a rig, then it takes 162 days to pay it off. In the next 162, you should make about another 1,000. That's just how it works. Now keep in mind the difficulty is going to go up over time, theoretically, as more and more people start mining. So there's a couple more factors to it, but that's just how it works at a basic level, especially in the short to mid-term. So don't forget to add that. Now I said, okay, brand new. Here's what I did for almost all of mine. In fact, all of them but one. I just took some OEM garbage thing or some system I was disassembling that was custom, just whatever, and built it into a miner. So we just took some garbage HP with a AM3 socket, dropped in a Rigor 215 dual core because it's kind of low wattage. Could have done a Sempron though, that would have been a little bit smarter, but didn't want to buy the chip. I had a 215 laying around. And 2 gigs of DDR3, which is $6. And let's see, I think we were running 4 560s with the one I built today. So we actually just put in a 750 watt Manhattan, or as I like to call them, 500 watt power supplies. That thing was running hot, just pulling 250, I think we're pulling through it. So yeah, it's quad rail. Those are just garbage power supplies. There are 4 garbage power supplies put together in one box. Buy a single rail one. But hardware choice is a whole other video. I'm not going to get into it. But yeah, we got the whole shebang done for nothing. I mean, that computer was literally bought from a recycler. So we'll go to the recycle and drop off scrap all the time, just from people's works and around places and whatever. And then if they have a couple computers, like, hey, can we buy that off you for 10, 20, $30? And they're like, yeah, sure. Or if it's really crap, they'll just let us take it. So yeah, you can build anything, honestly, made after 2007 usually into a Bitcoin miner. I try to go to AM3 or newer and Intel Core series, so non-775, so post-775 sockets. And you can get a computer, even, used, secondhand, thrift store, pawn shop, whatever, for under 100 that could run everything. And you're probably going to have to drop some money on a power supply because OEM power supplies are a joke, especially the ones that show up in Dell and HP and all that. But other than that, you don't need a fancy motherboard. If it fails, it fails. You could replace it 5 times for the cost of a new one. So don't just say, oh, it's an investment and just dump money into it. Not a good idea. So for that one, we were probably at 265. We used an 80 gig hard drive, people. Okay, this was not the world's greatest desktop. Doesn't affect mining in the least. Okay, there's enough HSIO channels to run the cards. That's all I care about. So yeah, that was 134 days. So you can, make a lot more money by cheaping out on the core hardware as long as you can replace it and rebuild it if it fails. So that's the little caveat there. So what else is there for factors? I know you're probably screaming at your screen at this point if you know what's up. I said dual mining. I'm mining Ethereum and another currency simultaneously with a method similar to hyperthreading, if you know how that works, where it's alternating instruction sets between cycles that do different things. I assume that's how it works. I didn't even look it up. But let's just say for every $10 I make in Ethereum, I make about $1 with Saya. Because I'm dual mining Saya. So that's a 10% increase. So I think I'll just take 22.3 and multiply it by 1.1 and just pretend that the system runs at 23.53 or 24.53. There we go. Well, let's reset it just so apples to apples here. 250 because the computer was free, I guess, and so were the risers and so was the power supply. So 112 days, look at that. So, I mean, that's 112 divided by 30.5, which is an average month length. That's 3.67 months. So we already, cut off a lot. And now you could almost fit like 3 repayment cycles into a year. Actually, you could now. So if you dropped $1,000 on a rig like this and then ran it for a year, you'd make $2,000 profit by the end of the year. You run it for another year, you make another $3,000, assuming difficulty and the price of Bitcoins and Ethereum don't change at all, which is ridiculous because that'll never happen. And then the only other factor besides, okay, I paid it off, cool, now it's making money, is do you even want to do it that way? Like, let's say you take a credit card, spend $1,000 on a rig, build it, and then you say, okay, I'm making, $66.60 per. Oh God, I refreshed the page and the price changed, didn't it? Oh no, I changed it to reflect Saya. That's what it was. I don't know what I'm doing. It's really late at night. So 66.60 times 4 in a rig, 266. Cool. So for the first about 4 months, you're gonna pay the electric bill and you're gonna pay off your credit card. And instead of just making the minimum payments on the credit card, because that'll just make you lose money on interest, you're going to drop 100% of the proceeds from mining onto your credit card. So then it is quite literally you are making nothing at all for 4 months. You're not seeing any of that money. And then you're going to, make money. There's all kinds of other ways to do it too, because if you're thinking I'm split between am I going to mine Ethereum or buy Ethereum, you'd be holding Ethereum. You wouldn't just every 2 weeks or every month when you get paid from your pool or whatever, going to just drop the Ethereum into US dollars and into your bank account and then poof, they're gone. Because then between months, if Ethereum goes up, you already sold them the previous month. So some people are saying, okay, I'm just going to cover just the power and then everything else, the other 80% of the income, I'm going to sit on the Ethereum. Just totally leave it in my wallet, leave it in my Coinbase account or whatever. That's how I'm going to do it because I want to invest in Ethereum long term. Nothing wrong with that, but keep in mind that your hardware is going to fail eventually. And, could it run for 4 or 5 years nonstop, 24/7 at full power and overclocked? Yeah, it actually could. I mean, modern good brand graphics cards are capable of that. I wouldn't necessarily say 100% of them are going to do that. But could you get at least 2 years out of it? Yeah, and I think a lot of people are saying 2 years is a safe plan. Or if you really had some numbers, you could say, well, 10% are going to fail per year, or 20% or 30% or whatever. Depends how you cool them, depends how nice they were made, and it depends if they're MSI or power cooler, we'll just say. Not going to say which is which because then they'd sue me, but I bet you could guess. And also keep in mind that you're going to get diminishing returns as, well, I mean, if the price of Ethereum goes up, you won't. But if the difficulty of mining goes up because more people started mining, you will. But if they leave Ethereum to go mine something else, then the difficulty will actually go down. So it has had an insanely upward trend lately, but at a certain point, everybody who hears about mining a Bitcoin is going to have heard about it, and, maybe it went up 1%, maybe it went down 3%. It just depends who's, mining hardware broke and, just other factors similar to that. And who purposely switched it off or who switched to a different currency. So once you consider all the stuff that you can't predict, maybe just build in like a 25% disadvantage, like some nightmare scenario, like difficulty went up, this went down, that happened. Okay, so it's 25% less peachy than it looks right now. And keep in mind, the Bitcoin price being used is 20,133. You can see scrolling on the top here that ain't even the price at every single exchange. Like ItBit is 19 grand. I should probably let it scroll. Oh, watch, I killed the JavaScript because... Nope, there it is. 18.8 on Bitfinex. Or Bitfinex. It's probably European. Bitstamp, it's only 18.8. I mean, where are they pulling this price from? I should probably just refresh the page. It's probably not even accurate anymore. If I go, oh, look, Bitcoin fell to 18.1. Oh, now the payoff period is 128 days. Don't remember what it was before. It was 21.33, something like that. Okay, here we go. It was, 112. So, I mean, it's a somewhat significant difference. I mean... your profitability goes down 5% if the price of Bitcoins or Ethereum goes down 5%. Real simple. And this ratio could have changed too. If Ethereum is more popular in comparison to Bitcoins, then there you go. So it's all these scary factors where you're like, oh, I don't know. But just keep in mind, Bitcoin could crash to about $5,000 and you'll still be making a little bit of a profit under or after electricity. In fact, this is what the calculator's for. Let's drop it in. $5,000. Here we go. You would be making $5 profit on $21 worth of mining and paying $15 for power because that's not going to change. So you still technically wouldn't be losing money unless you consider the depreciation of the cards. So the number I saw thrown out there for hardware depreciation for graphics cards is 25% per year. That's probably about right. And it's not like after 4 years it's worth zero, but you know, it's kind of like it's accelerating, and it's kind of like a used car. I mean, you drive 5,000 miles, okay, you lost a lot, and then when you're at 100,000 miles, you go to 105 and it barely lost anything. I mean, whatever. So, I mean, keep that in mind too. So if you're saying, I'm just going to cover power, well, eventually you're going to turn off your rig and sell it, theoretically, because you got to get your money out of it, or you could just mine it till it explodes. I wouldn't. So if you say, okay, 2 years from now, okay, so cut the value of the cards in half. That's probably a little aggressive. I'd say maybe 33% over 2 years from the initial purchase price. But yeah, you'll be able to sell them for, you know, some amount of money. So that's the other thing. If you were to mine at current prices and you say, okay, well, I'm not going to make money for 112 days because that's a payoff period. Well, what you could do is mine for 1 month, which would make you, with a quad rig, what did I say? It's like the $260 or something like that. And then sell all the hardware. Now, you still got to pay shipping. You'd have to pay, we'll just say, eBay fees, which are about 10, 11%. A little bit lower on graphics cards, actually. It's like 8%. But, you know, there's overhead. So you might actually just break even on that. But if you were to say, okay, I'm going to mine for a year, which will be about $750 profit, give or take. Or actually, it's right on the chart. Why don't I just use the calculator that's right in front of me? $810.24. And then sell the whole rig, which, you know, in this scenario would cost about $1,000. Well, there you go. I mean, you could sell it after a year for 25% less, $750, tack it on to the 8, you got $1,500 profit. So it's, you know, the depreciation, the cost, the resale, how you're going to treat it, how long you want to hold it, if you just want to pay power, if you want to pay off the whole thing, if you want to hold the coins as investment, if you don't. All these different factors. So there's not just, hey, mining, I'm mining, that's what I'm doing. It's like, how do you want to mine? When are you going to sell it off? How are you going to sell it off? That kind of stuff. And the other thing with mining is, well, honestly, this is true with, you know, just investing too. Make sure you have a way to dump it off to US dollars so you can get your initial investment back. You got to comply with all this Banking Secrecy Act stuff, so it's not the easiest thing in the world. But I'll assume if you're going to get into it, you're willing to, you know, take a scan or a photo of your ID and sign some stuff and give them your social and all this other junk. And pay taxes on it, or you're going to get audited and you're going to get a fine and go to jail, obviously. I mean, this is not 2009 where the U.S. government was like, that's not a real currency. And then maybe you had to pay capital gains. No, they're pretty darn sure what's going on if you're mining at this point. So don't try to hide it. That's illegal and stupid. I pay taxes on it, and by that I mean I pretty much don't, because I make so little in a year that I'm in like the -1 tax bracket or whatever. So hopefully this is a good overview. If you have any questions, leave them down in the comments section. Hopefully I'll outline the difference between it. Really it comes down to just what's your goal. But if I had to pick one, because I know somebody's going to say, so what's your final determination? Which one just is better empirically? Mining, obviously. And let me explain why. If you were to buy $1,000 worth of Ethereum right now, over 112 days, it will probably go up. So over 112 days of mining, you made nothing because all you did was pay off the hardware. Although you could then, on the break-even days, sell your hardware for about $800-900. So you kind of did make money. Or, you know, you could say, okay, I'm going to hold Ethereum for an entire year. So remember, 112 times 3 is about a year. So in that case, you would have taken 1,000, put it into hardware. You'd have 3,000 total gross. I guess 2,000 profit would be a better way to say it. So would you make 3,000 gross total value on your Ethereum, aka 200% margin? Probably not. I mean, I think it's pretty safe to say that won't happen. And the catch is, even if it did, even if Ethereum went from like, I think it's like $450 right now, if it went from there to double, well, then you're mining and making double. Like as soon as that happens, you're good. Now you didn't buy all the Ethereum, $1,000 worth in one day and then hold it, so you're not going to get quite the same benefit. But I mean, if I were to just go equivalent, boom, which that's equivalent to doubling the price of Ethereum. Look at that, I'm making $147 per month now. So the second that that happens, you are making more money mining. Although if your pool only pays you once a week, once every 2 weeks, and the value drops back down, you don't like retroactively make more. That's not how that works, because you're still mining the same amount of Ethereum per hour or per day or whatever. So let's change the price back there. I like accuracy. So I mean, in order to make money on holding it, you'd either have to like basically day trade it and try and be like, oh, I think it's going to go back up 3%. Yay, I was right. I made 3% because I bought low and sold high. Woo. But not a lot of people are going to be terribly accurate at that. The other thing is, okay, buy a grand worth of Ethereum, sit on it, don't touch it. That's it. But like I said, you really think it's going to go up in, by $2,000 profit on 1,000 initial investment in a year? Probably not, but if you're mining, you almost definitely absolutely will make that. So in the long term, mining is more profitable, but you really cannot just think of it as, okay, I'm dumping in this cost, it's an easy return. No, it's like, it's the difficulty raise, it's the maintenance, it's did the power supply blow up, did the motherboard blow up? All kinds, the electricity, you got to offset it with all this stuff. Now this, of course, this calculator takes into account quite a bit, but let's just say the difficulty goes up by just a little bit. I don't even know what that would be, 20%, something like that. Uh-oh, now we're only making 54 per month. So just think, okay, now it's the next month. Oh, it ticks up, okay, 1 divided by 2. I should be able to do that, man. 5%, I think? 5%. Oh, now I'm making 51. Oh, now it's the next month. Oh, a huge popularity in mining. Oh, my God. Now I'm making 45 a month. So just keep in mind that could happen. I think to that extent might be a little bit rough, but you could just quite literally go to Google and type in Ethereum difficulty chart and just look at what it is, see if you can see a trend. Hopefully it's flattening off. I didn't actually do that. Oh, what the hell? Oh, hey, it's Coin Wars. Who would have thought? All right, so let's go to, here we go. We're going back. How far would this be? I don't want to get nuts with it. Ooh, the hell happened there? Damn. I think an Ethereum exchange got hacked. I thought I heard about that. That was in October. Was that October this year? I don't know. Somebody explain that to me. This would have to be like an Ethereum mine the size of like 50% of the network burning down. Or like 75. I don't know what happened. Like, what happened there? Good Lord. Oh, I think I remember that. I think that's right when I started mining. And then literally that day, like September 21st, I started mining. And then that's what happened within like a day. And I'm like, oh, wonderful. That was fun. I honestly don't know what happened there. But okay, so here's the difficulty. I mean, look at that. It's over... So you're going back October, November, December, over 2 months, it barely went up. But then again, like it went from like 1.4 trillion or whatever it's at to like 1.75. So, I mean, you do the math and you can back up as far as you want, or no, apparently you can. Apparently that is not true. Well, if you hit all, was Ethereum invented in August? I don't know. Not that familiar. Maybe I can fill this in myself. Nope. Not that familiar with this site. But I mean that's not crazy. Like that could happen. That difficulty spike was insane. And then that I have no idea. So mining is not a for sure thing, but then again, neither is anything else. And honestly, the price of Ethereum tends to kind of match what's happening in the mining world, because if it's not profitable, people are going to switch it off and switch to Equihash, which mines Zcash, aka Zach. So I mean, it's a risk no matter what, but I still think that, you could make an intelligent mining decision and be pretty confident that 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, you're going to make money. And 12 months from now, it's going to look somewhat similar to what it does today. At least it won't fall to not profitability. Because like I said, you'd still be making $5 profit on $15 electricity if the price dropped by 75%. Which is extremely unlikely. And even in that case, you could either say, I'm going to keep mining, I'm going to hold the coins, hold the $5, pay the 15 in power, pay the power out of pocket, hold all the coins, wait for them to go back up. Or you could just say, screw it, turn it off and sell all the hardware. So you've got all kinds of options. Now, do you really have options if you bought $1,000 worth of Ethereum, sat on it, didn't mine anything, and then it crashed down 75%? You have the option of waiting to see if it goes back up. That's it. So that's why I honestly think mining is more profitable and safer for a profitability standpoint. So I would lean very much towards mining, but if the, hardware configuration and, rigging up Linux or Windows to like not do certain things and messing with the BIOSes and just, it's kind of a pain to build these mining things. But then again, I mean, even if it was a disaster, like 3 days later, you'd probably have it up and running. So 3 days out of 356, 65. Oh my God, I know how many days are in a year. whatever. I mean, so if you're willing to put up with the headaches and the difficulty and the massive amount of heat, which you also have to offset, keep that in mind. In the summer, if you're paying $1,000 for electricity, add in another 1,500 for air conditioning, because that's just pretty much what it is. So you can take that power thing and just put the cost up, even though it's like, well, or just add to the watts. In the actual calculator, you could probably just add to the watts. That'd be a little bit smarter. So if you say, okay, it's 175 watts per card, and then the offsetting cooling, it's like 350, whatever it is, and then boom, there you go, redo it. Ta-da! Now it's less profitable. Yay! So keep in mind, what season it is, when you intend to sell it, how long you want to hold it, every single factor, and just modify it from there. And this whole number was thrown off by the fact that, oh no, I did adapt for Sia coins. I did a couple versions of this videos and they all sucked, so I forgot what I said. But I do remember saying that if you have any additional questions, leave them down in the comment section. I will try to answer them ASAP, and I will see you guys next video.